So we have now today to go and have a look at Tim Rowe's setup. He has the Rose Hive. Many of you know it by now. It's quite an interesting method. But in this video we're going to have a look at how to actually split up a whole colony of bees. There's quite a lot of different things, techniques that you have to kind of take into consideration in order to make a successful split. One is finding the queen. Of course we need to also put a ripe queen cell. A queen cell is basically just like an egg that the queen lays in and it becomes a new queen. And we're just going to put one of those in each colony, and Tim will now show you how to actually go about it.
Okay, so this is one of the aspects. We're going to demonstrate one of the aspects of Rose hives that makes it a bit different and so simple compared with other sorts of hives. So we're going to have a look inside this one, which is in four boxes high, and divide it up probably because I think it's about to swarm. So there should be ripe queen cells inside. So it's perfect for dividing up. Everything's growing. Hi darlings, coming in. What I do normally is not take the crown board off. I lift it at the first junction and see what's going on. Now I'll tilt it this way so you can see. And you can see ripe queen cells there, which is what I suspected. And as they're capped, so this colony will swarm either today or tomorrow anyway. So my job is to take an artificial swarm, and I'm going to do it very simply by jiggling around all the frames until each box has at least a good queen cell in it, or possibly if we take the queen, if we can find the queen, I'll pop her in a nuke box. So we're all looking now for the queen. Anybody in the audience who sees her wins a free ice cream.
Well, if it's a free ice cream, definitely. Let's have a look. It's great to have the nice weather though, isn't it, Tim?
Beautiful.
Yeah. So they're drones?
Yes, exactly.
Just to tell everybody.
There she is, there's the queen.
You got her. Right.
There we are. So.
Ah, yes.
Do you see her?
Yeah. Do you want to point on her again?
Yes,
just so that people can recognize her?
Underneath the corner.
And she's the black queen of the Irish black queen, so difficult to find, eh?
What I'm going to do now is make up an artificial swarm. So this colony is ready to swarm, and if we weren't doing this job now, they would probably swarm today anyway or tomorrow because of the state of the queen cells. So I'm taking the queen out, but I don't. What we're going to do is mimic an artificial swarm. So of course in a real swarm there wouldn't be any brood. I'm going to take that brood out again in a minute. There we are. I'm just going to give them a couple of empty combs. I'm going to shake her off in a minute, but at the moment I'm just making sure that there's somewhere to go. So I'm going to give them this honey as well. Hang on, I'll give myself a bit of space here. That one there. Okay. And I'm going to leave the queen behind. And then I'm going to put in lots and lots and lots of bees. Just making sure that she isn't on here. Now we don't want any brood in there, we don't want any eggs. This is going to be almost identical to a real swarm. The only difference is that it isn't in the top of a tree, it's already in a box, and it's just been caught perhaps an hour or so before they flew on their own. So now I'm going to put this in. It's so full of bees now, there isn't a lot of space. Let me just find another. So they just have one frame of stores Yeah. Now then, darlings, you see they've gone into cluster mode. They're actually already clustering on this box. Now, in you go. Now. Of course, all the ones that don't make it will just fly home again in a little while. So, all should be well, as long as I remembered my lid. They've all come out again. Girls? Girls. Everybody inside. Once as you put them in, they pop out again.
So they're acting really like a swarm, you can see it now, huh?
They're already, yes, exactly. So this is a swarm of bees, but it's already neatly in the box with the queen, some stores and plenty of space. So they're going to be fine. And yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm glad we found the queen.
That was excellent, yeah.
Very quick.
Excellent work.
So, we now have a queenless colony. So we won't need to leave at least one queen cell behind. We know that this is the top box and we know there are plenty of queen cells in there. So I'm just going to go through and put one of the queen cells at least back into that box. Then we might have a cup of tea. So, because all the boxes are the same size, they can all be, as it were, a brood box. This will be a brood box. Now I'm going to go through these frames in a minute, but for the meantime I've just put the box on top of a new floor and stuffed up the entrance. You know, and even now, if I wanted to, I could just take this box and put it somewhere else and we'd have a new colony. But we can do better than that because there are far too many queen cells in here. We don't need all that many queen cells. They could even cast a second swarm from this small box, so that's not perfect. I'm just going to set up another one here. Everybody be good. It's a nice day. So I'm flipping through any comb now. I should start seeing the brood nest. Here we are. Here's the edge of the brood nest. That's capped worker brood in the middle and a bit of drone brood on the bottom. Flip through. And of course there could be swarm cells as well at any stage.
You have a lot of drone cells in there, that's on purpose, right?
Yes, I deliberately encourage all the drone comb that they want to build. But you can see that if I take this box as it is, with a mixture of capped brood and stores, then this is an ideal starting colony. All it needs is a queen, and that should come with one of those queen cells, which I'll take out of the top box in a minute. There's a nice queen cell. So maybe that one will do in this box. So I don't need to fish out one of the others. So put that in there. Now, adjust in a moment. Put the box on the top. Now, this one has a queen cell in it. This is the one that doesn't have one in now. This is the original top box, and this is where you most often find queen cells. So when I'm doing my swarm inspections, I usually only lift up the top box and the second from top box. If I don't find any queen cells there, then I don't look any further, because they're pretty much always near the top. Now if there are any at the top, there may well be ones further down as well, but not normally the other way around. So as we'd expect, this is mostly honey because it's at the top of the hive. Now look, 2 queen cells, lovely job. I think I'm going to just take one out and leave one behind and just pop it in that box. Okay, so it's just a matter of putting them all to bed now and wrapping them up. They all have brood, they all have bees, and they all have stores, which is of course vital. Put a couple of empty ones in. You must never move boxes around that aren't full of frames, even if they're empty frames, because otherwise they could rattle about and squash bees. That one's done. Everybody down. So it's all about spreading their genetic diversity and spreading their chances, and that's all we're doing as well. We've taken one colony that was in 4 boxes, and we now have 4 boxes, 4 colonies plus the swarm. So I'm just going to put the straps on and then we'll have a cup of tea. This is what I'm going to put the hives on. So I put a couple of boxes on the ground like that, and that keeps the hive off the ground. And I'll just put that on the box on the top, the hive on the top, and the roof on the top of that, and then open them up and leave them alone.
So now it's about 10 days later and we want to go and have a look at the splits from last week. There's one very important thing that we need to talk about, and that's basically that you need to go through your colonies within 4 days of making up your splits. And the reason for that is because there may be emergency queen cells in any of your splits. This can happen quite often, and that just means that the bees will actually start drawing out any of the young eggs, larvae in their brood nest, because what will happen is they might decide, well, we don't have enough queens now all of a sudden. So if you left them with 4 queen cells, usually this doesn't happen, but if you only leave them with 1 queen cell, chances are they're going to say, hey, we don't have enough queens, so we need to actually draw out some more. And they can only do that for the next 4 days, because you must remember the queen just laid into those worker cells, so they have exactly 4 days time to make these emergency queen cells. So you need to rip them down. There's a reason for that as well, of course, because if you don't rip them down, you're going to get secondary swarms, and each new queen that is going to hatch, she might leave with the swarm of bees, so you're going to reduce the number of bees in your split, and that's obviously not something that you want, because you're trying to build up the sizes of these splits to a kind of a big colony that will actually survive the winter.
So David, this is a split from the home apiary. So it came here last week with at least 1 swarm cell in it. Now, normally, if I can, I go through that box looking for secondary swarm cells, but often I just don't have the time, and they're left to themselves to sort themselves out. So we're just going to have a little look in here. Oop. It's always a good sign when the roof is stuck down. It means that there are plenty of bees in there. So this was a split from the top of a hive, and there's a couple of spare pieces of foundation. and there would have been at least one swarm cell in here, and we'll have a look whether they made any more emergency ones or whether that swarm cell has hatched. As you can see, any brood that was in there has now been capped. And it's too late for them to build any emergency cells now, because there aren't any eggs or young larvae left. They've all grown too old. So I don't know where the swarm cell is, but we should be able to see the remains.
Turn it around there, actually, Tim, because there she is. Oh, there's.
Whoa.
Wow.
Now those are swarm cells that haven't hatched yet.
But they're not emergency.
Oh, no, sorry, there's one. There's a swarm cell that has hatched.
So you could release all the queens now. That's what a lot of people do, actually.
Yeah, these queens. Now they should be old enough to be. I can turn them upside down.
That one's hatched. That one's.
Let's have a look in here.
So what has happened here? They've obviously swarmed out. There's a queen coming out.
There's a queen. Well,
but it could
no,
be a worker.
she's the wrong way round.
Yeah, that's the worker gone in and been sealed in again, I suppose, huh?
It could be. So this one's definitely hatched, and this one's hatched. So they haven't been torn down. So this is swarmed again a second time. This is a cast swarm. Now the problem is, this could be the last princess in this colony. This princess could have taken a swarm away, and this one could have taken a swarm away, and this is the only one that's left.
So just to clarify it for the viewers at home, when you obviously placed 4 healthy queen cells in there because you usually don't have time, and generally speaking they would tear it down, but often they also send off a secondary swarm, so you've lost quite a lot of bees from this colony.
That's right.
But you still have one capped queen cell. What would you do in that instance? Because there could be also a virgin queen in here.
There could.
Running around the place.
There could, and she's too difficult normally to find. She just moves fast.
She's small. Oh, there's another one.
There's another one, a lovely one, you see? Now this has had a ring around it, so there we are, it's empty. So in fact there have been at least 2 cast swarms from here, possibly 3. And there are still this many bees in here. I'm delighted, I don't mind at all.
No.
Of course it would be better if they were all kept together. There's another one in there. One in there, look. So this is the perils of leaving too many swarm cells behind. So the 2 lessons in here, I left too many swarm cells behind because I was just in too much of a hurry. But also, they didn't make any emergency cells. They were happy to wait for those princesses to hatch. And they now have the choice of 5 princesses, one by one they've chosen to swarm again. There's plenty of brood in there, plenty of stores in there. There's at least 1 princess. I'm going to leave them to it. So here we have a split from 3 weeks ago now, I suppose. It came here as a split with a capped queen cell in it, and we're just going to see how they've got on. It's always so interesting to open up a colony. Some disaster could have struck, but that's what makes beekeeping so interesting, because it could be fantastic. Now we can see lots of white comb where they've been building fresh comb, and as I say, they came with a queen cell, but it's so long ago she has to have hatched by now, and if all's gone well she could have been mated and she may have started laying. Alright, so we'll see whether she's being laid. Well, this is curious. There's some...
But she must have been laying for ages, because there's a lot of...
No, this is... It came as a split.
Yeah. That's the old...
This is from the old queen,
right,
from the original hive. That's all capped, and it's now hatching. The last ones are hatching now.
That's right, yeah. The little worker's coming out.
She's coming out.
Yeah.
But alongside that, there are eggs.
Yes, and there's no larvae.
There's no larvae, so
obviously that's a gap.
Just in the last day. So we've just arrived in time to see her the first eggs that she's laid, the new queen. And I'm surprised to see unhatched worker brood at the same time.
Maybe it's all the nice weather, she just decided she got mated.
It's fantastic, it's wonderful that here she is, she's begun. Now, this is just stores in here, so what we looked at was just the very first ones, first eggs. She's only laid maybe 50 eggs or so. So just today. Congratulations, little queen. I'm not going to try and find her.
She's going to be all right now, yeah.
That colony is nice little colony, plenty of stores, still some hatching brood, but the main point is there's a new brood coming along, so they're going to be all right. Shut this up now, quick. Leave them to it. So, success. It's always nice to see the queen, the princess who gets mated, turns into a queen and begins laying eggs.
This being a production hive next year?
That's the idea, that's the plan, yeah.
Yeah.
This colony could easily get to 7 or 8 boxes high if we have good weather. And we'll be looking at boxes of lovely honey.